Competitive paintball started in 2008. That was when we start to realize that we need to establish a strong paintball community playing the game. And that was also the first time that the idea came about when we decided to organize a 3-on-3 competition. It was a bit tough at that point trying to organize the event because most of the Singaporeans who likes to play paintball basically doesn't know what speedball is all about. So we need to first let them understand the rules of the game, and then following that we need to guide them on how they can play the game. So there was a bit of a preparation period for us, and I think that took almost a year. But by the time when we reached 2008, that was when we decided that maybe it's time for us to put all this into practice and organizing a proper competition for everyone. Started off with only a group of 7 teams playing, and it was a 3-on-3. So we started off being a very small event. And back then, I remember we had to find a name for the event. So there were a bit of brainstorming, but it was a very quick one. A few of us came together. I remember Thomas Lee who was back then one of our first part-timer, had a bit of contribution thinking about how we should come up with the name. And we came up with a SPNS, which in short is called Singapore. I mean, in long form is Singapore Paintball Novice Series. We decided to put the word novice because, as a competition, if you have too much of a professional name, calling yourself the Professional National League, these are going to scare people away. So we had to introduce names that are comfortable with the crowd, and therefore the novice word. 2 years from 2008, we decided to remove the word novice because things were ongoing, and then we had more teams, more players coming into play. Right now in 2017, the scene has changed so much from when we first started. We now have a very regular paintball community that is helping to play the sport, helping to promote the game to their friends and family. And basically these players who are there week in, week out at the field. I would call them as paintball ambassadors, just like you and I, who are also into the game, playing the game, basically trying to get more people to understand what we are actually doing out there in the field. And I think that is something that is ongoing. And even after 10 years into the sport, I must say that we are not really there yet. A lot of promotion and development still needs to be done, and it has to come from the players within the community to reach out to a bigger crowd of people, to get governing authorities, for example, like Singapore Sports, government sectors, police force, to understand what exactly we are doing and what exactly we are trying to promote. And hopefully that will give us some guidance into seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. We are always changing, I mean, I started playing the sport 10 years ago, 11 years to be exact. And of course many people have followed suit, and many predecessors have played the game. Some have left the game, some came back to play the game after a while. I've seen people coming in and out of the game. I've seen people who left the game entirely. I've seen new players coming in to join the game. But this is what I always call as a vicious cycle. People will come and go, but new people will always come in and fill the void. Old players will come back and play and enjoy the game and meet up with old friends. And people are always changing. So, of course, with the change in lifestyle, with a change in the economy, with a change in our attitude towards things that we understand in life as we get older, certain thoughts might change. And of course, in order for us to attract players to like the game, I believe we also need to change. And because change is the only way for us to move forward. We cannot be playing the same game that we have started many years ago. When I first started playing the game many years ago, after 10 years is still the same old format. So I think that hasn't changed much. And I believe that for Singapore paintball, in order for us to improve, we need change. And change is always something that is not readily accepted by many, because people are always comfortable with where they are at, and many people doesn't like change. They're always, kept within their own safety net. But I believe if the changes are progressive, and you're not talking about changing the whole entire league altogether, revamping the whole entire league, but if things are done in a very progressive manner, and of course with these changes people can really see improvement, then I think it is for the good. So for Singapore paintball, we have gone through many changes. We have played the 7-man format, we have played the 1-on-1 format, we are now down to the 500 format. We are playing a 5 versus 5, 3-on-3. But these changes basically bring about more interesting talking points for people, and and keep the tournament scene fresh for many people who likes to come and join us to see these changes. So I think it's for the better good. AGPIC 2017 was an idea that was mooted, I would say, almost 2 years ago. We as in Jian and I had a plan of organizing an event for considering like an all-female tournament, and we believe that by giving our female players a same competitive platform to compete is actually doing us right for the sport. I mean, you can look across any other sport, right? I mean, if you're talking about football, you're talking about basketball, table tennis. The game doesn't revolve only around the male gender. Of course, in a game of paintball, you're talking about female players being able to play with the male counterparts. But in sports development, you're talking about female enjoying that sport. Likewise, male players enjoying their sports among their own gender. So having a good competitive platform for the teams to come together to play, I believe what we are trying to do is to be a trendsetter. Of course, this hasn't been tried out before in Asia. I mean, I've heard of many all-female events. For example, the one in Moscow, in the west coast of United States, and even in UK, where they have an all-female competition. But there is none other in Singapore. I mean, in Asia, right? So for us, I believe is trying to set a trend, create a platform for our female players to showcase their skill, since they have already been playing in a male dominant game, but also to level that competitiveness between the female gender. We are hoping that more teams will join us for this initiative. Obviously, for this round we have only 4 teams, 2 from Singapore, 1 as an international mixed team, and 1 coming from Malaysia. But I believe there's more that female teams can offer to this region. I believe there are certainly more players out there who can come in and join us. But since this is the first time that we're running it, so I'm indeed actually very happy that we managed to still get this going. Hopefully for next year, we will get more support from the regional players. And of course, for us to run an event like that, it's not just running any other event. We want to be very professional about running the event. And it's just any other event that players can come in, enjoy themselves, and at the end of the day, feel good about being part of this event, and hopefully reach out to more female players. The live feed, again, like I said, is part of development and part of change. I mean, during my active days when I was actively playing paintball, we travel to many countries, and in a calendar year we played almost 13 to 14 events a year sometimes. I think at one point we were playing almost 16 events in a year. And you're talking about back to back events. Uh, when you compete in an event, you come back home and then you rest for a couple of days, and the next weekend you pack your bag and you're ready to set off to another country to play. And of course those were the very active times, and you're talking about professional paintball. That's exactly what the pros are doing. They travel around, they get to see paintball from every part of the world. But one thing doesn't really change. The format of the game doesn't change. The cultural differences is what is most exciting about the travel. But other than that, the game doesn't change. So I believe that over in Asia, while things are really moving, and being well developed in the States, in Europe, but I believe in Asia there's still a lot of catching up to do. Okay, we have not reached the level where every single event that we go to, you see a total of 160 over teams, 200 teams, or even like a world record number of teams playing in the NXL World Cup, which probably is going to be this year in the year 2017. So I think over here in Asia we are doing catching up, and in order for us to reach out to more players, we need to be doing things that are professional. And what a better way to have a webcast out there, so that people from at home, at the comfort of your home, sitting there on a Sunday morning drinking coffee and eating breakfast, who plays paintball but unfortunately is not able to travel out so far to play, is still able to support teams that are coming from your own respective country, and being involved in just spectating and watching the live webcast at home is actually helping the sport to grow. And of course sharing it on live social media, telling people that, hey, look, this is paintball, this is what I've been doing, and if you're interested, have a look at the webcast. And for us to be able to reach out to more people watching the game, uh, I think that's what we need to do. And of course in 2017, with the help of my team, Dominic, we managed to get a live webcast running. Although we don't consider ourselves as the best, but we try to offer the best. And I believe the SPS 500 webcast is currently the best in Asia for now. And we are hoping that more organizers will be able to join us in this path, and keep the live feed constant. Not only just putting a camera out there and watching the games, but basically be able to commentate on the game, create profiles for players, because that's what we need for Asia Paintball. Long time ago, when we first started the SPNS, we used to have the most valuable player of the league. Unfortunately or fortunately, most of the time, the most valuable player turns out to be the captain. Because the community is small, nobody knows one another, nobody recognizes who is from the other team, nobody understands who is playing on the opposite side. So naturally, when it comes down to voting, everyone will say, okay, let's vote for the captain. But I think the community has reached a certain stage where everyone start to recognize one another. We can zoom in or zoom down to who's the best player in the opposing team, and then why not let us also put that recognition into that player who has given his weekend at the field, doing all his drills, trying to perfect his skills, and really getting that kind of recognition out there in the field as they compete. So, but more importantly, it is also for us to create a platform to be able to profile our own local community. I mean, I would like to say, if somebody comes up to me and asks me who is the best player in Singapore, I can probably say that, okay, this guy has to be the best player in Singapore because he is actually the player of the year, right? And for the younger players who are coming into the game, they have an opportunity to look up to that iconic player and say, okay, I might be young now, but if I continue to do so and practice like how this guy is doing, then hopefully one day I can be like you. And I think that is what we known as being able to pass down to many years of generation, many events, and that is a continual process. And not only that, as a team, as a player of the year, I think there's a lot of responsibility that he's carrying. You're talking about someone who is being recognized for his skill out there for the whole entire year. I believe this individual will not only be good in the field, but he has to be a good ambassador of the game as well, being able to lead, being able to handhold the community, being able to get more players to be involved, and really play a good ambassador role in showing good lights for the game. So moving forward into 2018, I believe there are a lot more things that we can do. You're looking at a new change in terms of a change in the people who are behind the sport, a change in the scene. Players who have stopped playing or would have already aged are probably reaching their 40s already. And you're talking about new wave of players coming into play. And when you talk about new players coming in, uh, new players who have not gone through what we have gone through in the past, looking at how paintball has established itself exponentially over the last few years, might not see the value that some of the older players have seen. So I think uh, when you want to cater to the younger group of people or the younger group of players, there is very much say that you can put in to talk about the good old days. But basically, what you need to show them is what can they see when they come into the event. So I'm hoping that for next year, for every event organizers out there, uh, we could be looking at better field infrastructure, better field supporting staff for the event, a good schedule of the games, a good planning on organizing the event, good referees, talking about looking for the best paintball terrain to play, having the best vendors out there coming out to support the event, and of course finding the best sponsors to play in the event. And of course all of these will require the support from the players. I mean, a good event with good planning will require players to play in order for it to be a good event. So it's not just about good planning, but also players coming in to support. From the point of the players, I will urge all the players to look carefully into the events that they are playing and to basically make assessment of the investment they are putting into making their investment work for them. Of course, you want to go to an event knowing that this event is going to bring you good vibes, not only just participating in the event, but the whole entire structure of the event from the time when you started playing, before you enter the country, playing the event, and of course after when you leave the event. I think these are the true investment of play teams coming out to play, and not just go to an event because they just want to play an event. Because many years ago, that's what we used to do. Every week when we play an event, it's the same event over and over again. But you're talking about changes, and these I think are very important to the newer players, because these are immediate things that they can see on social media, and things that they will question themselves at the end of the day when they say, okay, I've spent so much money playing this sport, where am I now? Am I going to continue doing so in the next 5 years? Am I going to continue doing so in the next 10 years? And if things doesn't change, then they start questioning, why am I doing this for? So I believe there are many aspects to changes, and it has to come from every sector. Everyone has to be involved in that.